Hello, my name is Ali, and I'll be analyzing a passage from 1984, which is a novel by George Orwell. So, this passage can be found in chapter 1, and it starts off with Winston sharing his opinion of O'Brien with the reader. O'Brien is an important character towards the end of the novel, and this opinion that Winston has of O'Brien is very important because it creates an ironic feeling towards the end of the novel when Winston and O'Brien interact with each other. As you read on in this passage, the other main thing that you can gather from this is that Orwell introduces the main one of the themes throughout the whole novel, which is scapegoating, and he introduces Emmanuel Goldstein, which is one of the main scapegoats used by the party and Big Brother. Okay, so looking at the first paragraph of this passage, it starts off with the Winston saying that he has barely ever seen O'Brien, not met him, but seen O'Brien. So, and then he says that he felt deeply drawn to him, and not solely because he was intrigued by the contrast between O'Brien's urbane manner and his prize fighter's physique. So basically, what we can get from this is that Winston sort of feels a connection to O'Brien when he looks at him and when he formulates an opinion on him, even though he hasn't personally met O'Brien and has only seen him from afar a couple of times. The passage leads on to saying that it's mainly because of a secret belief that he has that O'Brien is not his political orthodoxy is not perfect. So basically, what Winston feels is that O'Brien isn't as doesn't follow the rules as well as he shows he does, and he has his own feelings towards Big Brother, the same as Winston. As this passage continues, it says that he had the appearance of being a person that you could talk to if you could get away from the telescreen. So here he mentions a recurring motif of the telescreen, which is used to symbolize how Big Brother surveys over people and looks at what they're doing. And as it continues, Winston had never made the smallest effort to verify this guess. So this basically shows that even though Winston feels that O'Brien is somebody that he can talk to, he is too scared because he feels that if he gets caught, he could be in deep trouble. And that's basically the main things in the first paragraph. On to the second paragraph. It starts off, the next moment a hideous grinding speech as of some monstrous machine running without oil. So this constant use of very harsh words and very rough and negative and words with negative connotations introduces a character that is generally hated throughout the book. Not generally, is hated throughout the book, and and how he is hated is through the use of the hate. So basically, the person that is hated is Emmanuel Goldstein, who is the enemy of the people. Emmanuel Goldstein is a scapegoat that has been used by the party members to inflict all the blames and all the shortcomings that the party that happens to Oceania and the party. So Emmanuel Goldstein's reception is there were hisses here and there among the audience. So this goes to show that even though that Big Brother, he only uses 2 minutes, but since he repeats it on a daily basis, 2 minutes are enough to control the inner workings of of the party members' mind, so that they have an instinctive reaction to look at Goldstein as a very bad person and a person that deserves to be hissed at as an instinctive reaction. So, as the passage goes on, it talks about the sandy-haired woman gave a squeak of mingled fear and disgust. So this again goes to show how the connotations that people, the images that people get when they think of Goldstein. They feel fear, they're disgusted by him, because Goldstein has been depicted as a traitor of the party. He's been depicted as a bad person who does crimes against Oceania and does acts that are frowned upon and are very restricted by the party. So as this passage continues on, it talks about how Goldstein had been one of the leading figures of the party on the level of Big Brother, but then he had engaged in counter-revolutionary activities, but then and had been condemned to death, but had escaped and disappeared. So what this says is that Goldstein was at a level of Big Brother and was very influential, and the reason we don't even know what happened to Goldstein is just that he mysteriously escaped and disappeared. So maybe what this shows is that Big Brother, maybe he felt threatened by Goldstein, and as a way to get rid of him, he depicted him as a traitor and said that Goldstein engaged in counter-revolutionary activities and condemned him to death. Okay, and then it continues on saying that the programs of the 2 Minutes Hate varied from day to day. So this again reinforces the idea that the 2 Minutes Hate happens every day. So the Big Brother uses 2 minutes of the party members' time to shape their inner mind workings and what they think about certain things. And then it says that there was none in which Goldstein was not the principal figure. So basically what this shows is that Big Brother always wants to reinforce the idea that Goldstein is a traitor, because he doesn't want people to forget, and he wants people to blame Goldstein for every problem, so that it's just an instinctive reaction, so that he can get away with doing bad things, doing the bad things that he does. And then it talks about how he was the primal traitor, the earliest defiler of the party's purity. So basically this shows how the party members think of themselves as a very high class, very high level people, and how he defiled party's purity. This sort of shows how high regards the party holds themselves at. It goes on to say all subsequent crimes against the party, all treacheries, acts of sabotage, heresies, deviations sprang directly out of his teaching. So basically what the party member tries to say is that all the bad things that they say are bad were basically created and developed through Goldstein, even though he was one of the influential leaders among Big Brother in the past. Somewhere or other he was still alive and hatching his conspiracies. So hatching, there's this metaphor to a chicken hatching from an egg. So it creates sort of a crack sound. So the conspiracies are very rough and hard. And then perhaps somewhere beyond the seas, under the protection of his foreign paymasters, perhaps even so it was okay to remove it in some hiding place in Oceania itself. So this basically just says that Goldstein hides somewhere, and he could possibly hiding in Oceania amongst the people, and they don't possibly know where he is.